So the question for today is, do you find yourself constantly worried? Are you thinking about the future? What's going to happen if? What will happen if? The what ifs always come in, right? Or do you find yourself nervous about what's going to happen? So in today's video, we're going to talk about the difference between worry and anxiety. Worry is near and dear to my heart. My dad always worried about us, so he passed that on. So I worry about my daughter. So by the way, I'm Dr. Roseanne Gonzalez, and this is my channel, Dr. Rose Motivation Generation, where we motivate each other. Now you're motivating me to think about it, because as I was growing up, a baby boomer, I had never heard the word anxiety. Especially among kids, with the trauma and everything else. Now that I'm a retired teacher, there was a lot of anxiety. So in today's video, let's discover the definition between worry and anxiety, right? And then how do they pop up in our daily lives? And what can we do about it? Come along. So let's begin by defining worry. Worry is more short term. You're worried about a specific problem, event, something that that can go either way, right? So let's say you're worried about the results of your exam. It's short term because eventually you'll get those results, right? And worry can take a weight onto you, build a weight to where it's just constant. Now, what I've been told, and I've constantly been told, worry is just an overuse of your imagination. 9 times out of 10, that worry is for nothing, because it's all going to go in your favor anyway, or you already know what the results are of that particular worry, right? Now, anxiety is different. Anxiety is like a long-term fear, more or less. Now, I'm not an expert on all of this. I'm going by my experience. Anxiety builds and builds and builds until it either comes out as maybe a panic attack, to where you're nervous, not constantly, but you're nervous and maybe getting a little sick over it, right? Now, my thing is, my worry sometimes turns into anxiety because it's continual, right? It's that mental feeling, that nervous feeling that, I am worried about such and such, right? And half the time, if I keep worrying about it, I'm going to bring it on the wrong way. How about you? I want you to sit back and think about it, okay? I want you to sit back and think about, do you worry? And are you worrying needlessly? Or are you anxious in fear of something happening? Now, I'm going to ask you, have you ever had a panic attack? When I had a panic attack, I didn't realize that's what it was. So let me tell you, I was going to be in a parade. I was in this group of all these women that were doing all kinds of dances with this, all this costume on and everything. And I love to dance. I love to be in parades. I was in parades with a band. So I wasn't afraid until we got ready to march off. My heart started to race. I couldn't breathe. I was like anxious, turning around. You're in the middle of a crowd and you didn't know who to ask for help. I paused to take a breath and had to release all that anxiety on my own, because you're in the middle of crowds of thousands of people and you needed to move on and walk on, right? That's my version of anxiety, of a panic attack. How about you? I want you to stop and think about it. Have you ever had a panic attack brought on by so much anxiety, right? So we've defined worry as something short term, that eventually it will be resolved one way or another, right? Something that you're continually thinking about, overusing that imagination to find results, right? 9 times out of 10, you worried needlessly. And anxiety, on the other side, is a fear. It's a fear. Now, I told you I'm not an expert, but this is by my experience. How about you? In the comment section below, tell me what your experiences are with worry versus anxiety. Now, like I said, can worry turn into anxiety? In my case, it did. Yes. So I'm saying that it can, but in your case, what do you think? Okay. So now let's talk about how else we see these in our daily lives. Okay. So I don't think we have to go that far into depth on worry. I mean, you may be worried about bills, maybe worried about health. If you have kids, maybe you worry about them going to school and what may happen at school. You may worry about your parents or, family members that you're taking care of. And it's all short term because eventually you'll have a resolution, some type of resolution for this, right? But when we're talking about anxiety, remember, anxiety can be more long term. So I want you to stop and think about it. Anxiety is something that builds up. So, yeah, you were maybe worried about your financial status and you keep on worrying about it, keep on worrying about it. So, eventually, because you've been worrying about it so long, it's now turning into anxiety because it is making you nervous, it's making you scared, right? Think about it. Think about it. Health wise, I had a sort of a health scare. I'm just going to give you a little example. I had a family member that didn't live here in the same city or state that passed away from a very serious terminal illness. Well, it runs in my family. So because it runs in my family, I right away went to go get tested because I was worried about it. Did I get results? Yes, everything was good. Could it have turned into anxiety because I was waiting so long to have that test done? Yes, it could have. Now, I didn't have a panic attack. I didn't, have any breathing problems, anything like that, but it went on for an extended length of time. Now, anxiety can be, I guess, more detrimental because it can really affect your health. Not that worry can't, but anxiety seems to be more serious. So at times when you're sitting there worried about something, find that resolution somehow, some way, and cut it off, right? So it doesn't turn into anxiety. Now, anxiety, I see or saw a lot of that in my students at school because they were pretty much afraid. The fear was there, maybe of bullies, of whatever was going on in their little lives. And I saw plenty. It was anxiety. It was anxiety. Now, how do we resolve all of this? How do we resolve all of this? Well, for worry, it's a matter of, like I said, it's an overuse of your imagination. And you're going to have to place something else in that place or realize that you're worrying for nothing. It's not going to happen. 9 times out of 10, it's not going to happen. And I find that all the time in my life, all the time, so that it does not turn into anxiety. Now, how do you deal with anxiety? If it's that detrimental, then you need to seek professional help, right? To see if someone can talk you into believing that this cannot be such a great fear. I see that as the best way to resolve anxiety. Talk to somebody. It could be a family member, it could be a professional, somebody that knows the situation to bring it all down, right? So I thought we would talk about it because worry has always been in my family. My dad has always said, think ahead, always look to the future. Well, when I look to the future, then I worry about it, right? Will I be able to afford? Will I be able to do whatever? How about my health? I'm getting older. And should I be worried, at this age, worried about what's going to happen in 20, 30 years? It's an overuse of my imagination. I want you to stop and think about your situations as well. Are you worried about something? Are you worried about someone? I can't tell you stop it. No, but I can say there's other ways to resolve it. It needs to be resolved so that that worry goes away. Does that make sense? So this has been Dr. Roseanne Gonzalez, and this is my channel, Dr. Rose Motivation Generation. You have motivated me today to think about the difference between worry and anxiety. So I know you're here because you are amazing. Don't forget to subscribe and check my Stan store. And I'll see you on the next one. Ciao.